The program focuses on corporate risk management and explains how firms identify, evaluate, and manage exposures that could threaten financial performance and strategic objectives. Corporate risk management aims to stabilize earnings, protect firm value, and support sustainable growth by reducing uncertainty associated with market fluctuations, operational failures, and financial disruptions. Senior management and boards of directors establish a firm's risk appetite, which defines the level of acceptable risk-taking aligned with organizational goals. Effective corporate risk management integrates risk considerations into budgeting, investment decisions, capital allocation, and operational planning. The program emphasizes that risk management is not intended to eliminate all risk, but rather to optimize the balance between risk and reward. A major concept in corporate risk management is the relationship between risk appetite, risk capacity, and stakeholder objectives. Boards and executives must determine how much exposure the organization can tolerate without jeopardizing solvency or long-term viability. Shareholders may favor greater risk-taking to increase returns, while debt holders generally prefer conservative policies that protect repayment capacity. Management therefore needs to balance competing interests through clear governance structures and transparent communication. Firms often use quantitative metrics such as value at risk, stress testing, and scenario analysis to define acceptable exposure levels. These tools allow decision-makers to evaluate potential losses under adverse conditions and adjust strategic plans accordingly to maintain resilience during economic uncertainty or market instability. The topic also explains the importance of enterprise-wide coordination in managing different categories of risk. Organizations face market risk, credit risk, liquidity risk, operational risk, legal risk, strategic risk, and reputational risk simultaneously. Enterprise risk management, (FRM), integrates these exposures into a unified framework rather than addressing them independently. FRM enables firms to identify correlations among risks and recognize situations where certain exposures offset or amplify each other. The program highlights that integrated risk oversight improves decision-making efficiency, reduces unnecessary hedging costs, and strengthens organizational resilience. Many firms appoint a chief risk officer to coordinate enterprise-wide policies, ensure compliance with governance standards, and communicate major risks to senior leadership and regulators. Topic examines the primary methods and instruments organizations use to manage financial risk exposures. One major method is risk avoidance, where firms choose not to engage in activities with unacceptable risk levels. Risk reduction involves implementing controls or diversification strategies to lower exposure severity. Risk transfer shifts exposure to another party through insurance contracts or derivatives. Firms may also retain risks when potential losses are manageable or when hedging costs outweigh expected benefits. The program stresses that selecting an appropriate risk response depends on the organization's objectives, financial resources, regulatory environment, and market conditions. Effective risk management requires balancing protection costs against the economic benefits of maintaining business flexibility and growth opportunities. Derivative instruments play a central role in financial risk management. Futures, forwards, swaps, and options are commonly used to hedge exposures related to interest rates, foreign exchange rates, commodity prices, and equity markets. Futures and forward contracts allow firms to lock in prices for future transactions, reducing uncertainty from market movements. Swaps enable organizations to exchange cash flow structures, such as converting floating rate debt into fixed rate obligations. Options provide asymmetric protection by granting rights without creating mandatory obligations. The program emphasizes that derivatives can reduce earnings volatility and improve financial planning, but improper use may introduce leverage, liquidity concerns, counterparty exposure, and operational complexities requiring careful oversight and governance controls. The program concludes by emphasizing that successful corporate risk management depends on governance quality, ethical standards, data accuracy, and continuous monitoring. Historical financial disasters demonstrate how weak controls, excessive leverage, poor liquidity management, and inadequate oversight can magnify losses and threaten systemic stability. Firms therefore rely on stress testing, scenario analysis, risk reporting systems, and internal controls to identify emerging vulnerabilities before they become critical threats. Effective communication between management, boards, regulators, and operational teams is essential for maintaining a strong risk culture throughout the organization. Ultimately, corporate risk management seeks to create a disciplined framework that supports strategic decision-making, protects stakeholder interests, and enhances long-term organizational value in uncertain financial environments.